not had from Exim Bank. So we're going to invite Ms. Dukas along with Mr. David. Mr. David England, okay. And he's from Pigs Distributors Limited. Okay, so please welcome them.
Services to the market. Now, the Exim Bank is the only institution in Jamaica that offers trade credit insurance, and we believe that with the uncertainties and the instability in the global marketplace, this product is especially beneficial to SMEs trying to expand their businesses in the local market as well as the overseas markets. So what is trade credit insurance? Trade credit insurance facilitates trade, allowing suppliers to sell goods and services without having to worry about being paid by their customers. The Exim Bank would therefore would indemnify any seller who has losses due to the non-payment by the buyer.
It's better.
Okay, what is trade credit insurance? Okay, it facilitates trade, allowing suppliers to sell goods and services without having to worry about being paid by their customers. In other words, the Exim Bank will indemnify the seller for losses sustained due to the non-payment by the buyer. Trade credit insurance offered by Exim covers both foreign and domestic receivables against commercial and political risks of non-payment by buyers. It is a unique product in that it should not really be confused with marine insurance or with commercial or risk insurance. It is strictly covering your domestic receivables or covering your foreign receivables against the risk of non-payment by buyers. Coverage of commercial risk is automatic, so it's essentially a commercial risk policy. However, coverage for political risk can also be had at an additional cost. Okay, and the policy also does not cover disputes between the buyer and the seller. So, if you have an order for oranges and you ship apples to the buyer, that if there's a dispute arising from that, there's no coverage under the policy. So what is commercial risk? Commercial risk is a non-payment as a result of bankruptcy or insolvency of the buyer, or the buyer's repudiation of the debt, or as a result of protracted default. While political risk has to do with political acts that may occur in a country, for example, war, civil disturbance, foreign exchange, transfer challenges, or cancellation of import and export licenses. So while an overseas buyer may be willing to pay, willing and able to pay, if there's a political act in the country at the time, then he may not be able. This may prevent him from making a payment. The transactions that are covered under the policy include the export sale of goods and or services, the domestic sale of goods, subsidiaries of Jamaican companies located and operating within CARICOM, as well as a sale of goods transshipped from Jamaica's duty-free zones to countries within the Caribbean region. The risk coverage of the risk is on a co-insurance basis, whereby the risk is really shared between the insured, which would be the Exim Bank, as well as the policyholder. This is really to ensure that the policyholder takes some interest in the risk and would have done their own due diligence on the buyers. Commercial cover, Exim Bank will cover 85% of the insured of the risk, and the insured bears the remaining 15%. And for political cover, the Exim Bank covers 90% of the risk, and the insured will bear the remaining 10%. Okay, the maximum credit period covered under a policy, a trade credit insurance policy, is 90 days. So anything in excess of that is not covered under the policy. It's a short term, it's for trade facility. Premium rates. Policies are charged a single composite rate covering commercial risk for both the export and domestic markets. The basic premium rate is, well, the general rate is 60 cents, but it could be as low as 54 cents, which is really applicable to our more, our long-standing clients. And it is 60 cents per 100 Jamaican dollars of the gross invoice value of each shipment or local sale. Political cover, though, attracts an additional premium of 3 cents, between 3 cents and $1.45 per 100 Jamaican dollars. Credit limits. Under the terms of the policy, coverage is available under prescribed limits. There is a discretionary limit. This represents the maximum limit for which there is automatic coverage, subject to the policyholder conducting their own due diligence on the buyers they would want to have insured. For the discretionary limit, therefore, for unsecured transactions, which are really open account transactions, 30 to 90 days, the limit is US $3,000, while for secured transactions, it's US $5,000, or the Jamaican equivalent. For transactions exceeding the discretionary limit, the policyholder is required to apply for a special buyer credit limit, which is determined based on an assessment of the buyer's financial status and his credit worthiness. We encourage policyholders to be guided by this limit, as in the event of a claim, coverage is going to be restricted to that limit. And it really represents the credit worthiness of that particular buyer, so you don't want to be overexposed. So why trade credit insurance? In answering this question, there are some questions for you to consider. Have you ever experienced credit losses, especially with buyers overseas? Do you regularly sell to new customers and markets? Are you concerned about the credit or country risk associated with growing your customer base overseas? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you need trade credit insurance. Receivables are often the largest uninsured asset on a company's balance sheet, and it usually is the primary source of revenue. It is therefore in the best interest of policyholders to ensure that the receivables are insured in just the same way as you ensure that your fixed assets are insured. Perhaps the largest benefit of having trade credit insurance is the potential for access to post-shipment working capital financing, as the policy can be assigned as collateral for the bank's insurance policy discounting facility. So, go ahead for me, sorry. Let me tell you. Under this facility, policyholders may discount up to 80% of receivables under an approved revolving limit. This is determined based on an assessment of the policyholder's financial status, as well as approved buyer limits. Loans under the facility are extended for a maximum period of 120 days at existing rates of interest. Okay, some of the key values of TCI. So when you have a TCI policy, it allows you to sell with confidence, safeguarding your company against the risks of domestic or overseas customer insolvency and non-payment. As a marketing tool, it facilitates expansion into new untapped markets, allows flexible credit terms, and competitive pricing. Ingledew to share his experiences with trade credit insurance.
Yes. Hello. Let me just say, my name is David Ingledew. My company is Ping's Distributors, which is better known as Ping's Fabrics. But we have another company that makes syrups and wines. And we do contract bottling for people like Lasco and Ramson's. But I want to tell you all that it was never this good. Ping started in a little shed in Spanish Town near Torres Pen, if you know where that is, 26 years ago. And over the time that we have been growing to what is now, I can say, the largest fabric chain in Jamaica. But I want to say that when I was in a small business situation, not as big as we are today, all of these terms that these people are saying, I didn't have a clue. And I don't know how many of the few people who are here are financial experts or financial people who understand all these terms about insurance and reinsurance and protocols and It's exactly correct. TCI, I always think of the Turks and Caicos Islands. I mean, what the heck is TCI? So I just want to say, simply as I can, how this trade insurance has worked for me. And first of all, I just want to say this is just an insurance. In the same way you insure your car and you insure your house, what you're insuring is when I bill somebody for some product, let's say for $500,000, this system, this facility allows me to insure that money. So I don't know if this man is going to pay me. And guess what? He has my goods. What do I have? I'm waiting to see if this person is going to pay. So insuring it means if that person does not pay, just like if my house burns down or my car is stolen, I can go to that insurance company, which in this case is the Exim Bank, and say, this guy did not pay me. Now, I will have had to try to get that money back. A certain amount of time has to go by. But if I cannot get the money back, I have paid my insurance premium. So that money, 85% of it comes back to me. So when we are small in businesses starting out, listen, I'm in the fabric business. I sell a lot of people who make things to sell to stores, and the overwhelming cry I get from them is that they've made all these leotards, or they've made all these sportswear things, or shorts, and they sold it to a good store, a good name, but they can't get their money. And in a small business situation, that grinds us to a halt. We need that money to keep flowing over. So I want to talk about the second thing that is good about the insurance. First of all, if the big store goes down, we will get our money back, 85%. That's a good thing. But the second thing about it is that when I hand in my bill for 500,000, I can go to Exim right away and get back 400,000 of it right away. How is that possible? Why would Exim give me 400,000 on a bill I paid to ABC department store for 500,000? They're willing to do that because they know that 500,000 is insured, and even if that business goes bankrupt, the insurers will pay it. So let me just tell you how to work this thing. You send out the invoice for 500,000. You immediately hand that invoice to Exim. You get back 400,000, and you have, I think, Mr. Cass, it's 90 days to pay back that money, correct? Up to 90 days. Or up to 120, even better. So you know it doesn't matter to you as much how long that store takes to pay you back. You've got 400 in the bank, and I can definitely testify to this, that in 3 days, working days, 2 to 3 days, I get back that money. You all follow me here? All right, because I'm talking real business now. I'm talking about money out of your pocket to make something, to produce something, to provide something. You give it to somebody and you're now at their mercy as to how long they take to pay you back. And can I just tell you, when you're small, you get kind of pushed under the bus sometimes. You know, you're the last to be paid. You know? So, here's the deal. You give them the invoice. You take that, you insure it, you take that invoice down to Exim, you say, I've just shipped ABC department store 500,000. You now can get 400,000 of that back right away in a check. As if the owner of the store had paid you 400,000 right away. They ain't doing that. But you can get that funds. The critical thing about being small, and in the previous talk by the lady from the accounting, the ICAJ, the accounts, I think one question people wanted to ask, but afraid to ask, is how the heck you're small and you're supposed to afford an accountant? Our problem is we don't have capital. And half of our talk was about how SMEs are overlooked in finding easy capital. So, cash flow, that means just cash, not profit. You know, you could sell the man the goods for 500,000 and know that you're going to make 150,000. But knowing that you're going to make 150,000 doesn't pay a bill. You need cash. So that cash flow is critical. So how do you help to manage that cash flow? I am here to tell you that Exim does a great job in giving you access to cash flow by insuring your receivable. You've done two things. You've insured the receivable. If the person that you have sold to goes bankrupt, you get back 85% of the money. That's much better than zero. One. Two, you use that insured money to finance them giving you back some of that cash right away so you can buy another set of fabric from Pink's Fabrics to make some more. That's a joke. So what I'm saying is it allows you to continue doing business. You don't stop for 2.5 months while you're waiting for this man to pay you 500,000. You're going down and phoning him every day or whatever. I'm telling you, when you're small, it kind of sucks. You have a weak leverage. And why I want to kind of talk at this level is because what is on the screen as a nice PowerPoint presentation is not maybe giving you the feeling of the reality of what this is. You insure it, you use it to come back and get that extra money. So, I can tell you, at Pings, we rinse this thing. All right? I started at about $700,000, and my accountant, yes, I can afford an accountant now, is now, you know, it's up to over 15 million. Because the companies that we are selling to are good companies. Some of them. Some of them I'm not so sure about. So I'm insuring them, you know, in case I just take a wrong turn there and can't pay me. And
that's like insure, right?
I am making sure. And I have to tell you, I've had to collect on one person who went, you know, belly up, and it worked. And I don't really want it to work. You know, I don't want anybody to go belly up. Let's all just keep in business, doing business, all creating wealth amongst each other and growing it. But occasionally, people make bad decisions or don't have a good accountant and don't realize that they're drifting towards an iceberg and are gonna sink. So, I think one of the challenges for small businesses is cash, capital. Just finding that money to grow the business properly. And let me just tell you, we all do our little plans and things, and it's always wrong. You always needed more. And if you can have even a good business idea, a good strategy, and it dies for lack of water, not because it wasn't a good seed or it wasn't a good plant. So I am just telling you, here's some water that you can get, and fertilizer too. And it will help your thing to grow. And it's an incredibly boring heading, TCI and something or another. But in reality, it is a very exciting product. And so Miss Anne-Marie was trying to beg me to come and talk, and I'm like, I'm really busy, but I think it's what I'm seeing, the whole JBDC thing, I think is fascinating and interesting, and it is a real chance for people who are trying to get on the road to growing a little business, having a little idea, taking the plunge. I think somebody was mentioning that we have the most startups in a year than anywhere, but we probably have a lot of failures too. We don't want anyone in this room to be there or beyond. Jamaica needs us to be successful. We need to be successful. So this is an exciting product. It does help. The rates, if you saw them, were 54 cents on every $100. It's not a lot. And I'll just give you a tip. Don't just insure the people who you're not sure if they're going to pay you. Insure the people who are going to pay you. Because those people, they will back you for those people, and you can use that insured money to get back your cash flow quickly. Exim don't want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you. Cock your ears and let's discuss. When I give a bill for $1 million to Lasco for syrup that I've made for them, and I go right away down to Exim myself, just paid one of your certified people $1 million, can I please get my 800,000? They do. In 2 to 3 days, I have a check for 800,000. Here's the secret. I then have 90 days, up to 90 days. I thought it was 90 days. I'm going to adjust that, Mr. Cass. I have up to 90 days to pay them back. Guess what? Lasco, God bless them, are very good payers. So in 30 days, I do get my check. So I get $1 million. So guess how much I have now? Thank you. Yeah, you have a smart set of people. All right. So now you have your 1.8, and you rinse that. Knowing responsibly that in 90 days you pay them their money back. Don't mess with a good thing. Right? They need their money too, just like you. Right? So, be good. Do the right thing. And I know that as small business, we're like, oh my God, insurance, that's the last thing. Accountant, that's the last thing. I need to buy 12 dozen of this and 2 pair of that and keep going. I was like that too. I remember my accountant saying to me, where are your books, where are your things? And I said, I don't care. You know what I need? I need 10 bags of sugar, because I was making another batch of syrup. And that's how we started in the syrup business. And that's all I cared about. But as the business settled and grew, I realized how important it is to have proper records, proper accounting, proper whatever. And therefore, while you may think of insurance as something down the line, when I get settled, when I'm big, I will do it. I would encourage you to look into whether you have little or big or medium-sized deals or projects with people who you can use that sale that you made to them to make back money for you, to finance your business going forward. Because this is like paying a very low interest rate to pay and get money that is uncollateralized. The collateral is your receivable. I'll just tell you this before I end, because I know I'm way over time. But when we started the business for years, we just rolled over. And every dollar we got, everything we got, we rolled it back into the business. Ping's Fabric started in a little shed in Spanish Town. Then we got a little building in Spanish Town that they called Down the Hole. So you can imagine what kind of building that was. And then we grew one thing at a time. But every time we made capital, we put it back in the business. So I went to the bank for a loan. I won't tell you which one. And they said to them, can I borrow some money? I want to grow the business. They looked at my figures and said, sure. We went right through up until the end, and they said, what are you giving us for collateral? And I said, well, I don't have anything. What I have is a business. I said, no, you don't have like a Benz or something. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I said, if I bought a Benz, that would be the most irresponsible thing I could do. And then I realized that by tightly building my business, I was building no equity that a bank was interested in. So I couldn't borrow money. I will tell you the bank that did come through. It was a small bank called DBNG. And I called one of them down there, and I said to one of their bank officers, and I said, I want to borrow $5 million to grow the business. And they said, what do you have for collateral? And I said to him, all of this. And he was looking at fabric and things. He was looking at some old forklift that was 25 years old. I said, I'll give you all of that for $5 million. And he said, oh, you know, we're not really interested. I said, listen, first of all, we're not going bankrupt, so you're never going to have to collect it. Second of all, it's worth a lot more than $5 million. You are going to be able to sell it and get back your $5 million. And they took it. And it's the first bank I found that took and gave and borrowed, lent money based on the collateral that I had built in the business. So this money that you have going out as a receivable is collateral. It's like you took the goods you had, made them, sold them to somebody, and then it became collateral that you could borrow money off of. So it's a clever way of getting collateral and money that you can use to run your business. In small businesses, as the speaker before us said, it is very hard to find money for SMEs. We're small because we're not big. It's because we don't have what other big places have. So, in closing, I encourage you. It is a fairly simple thing. I'm sure they will give you a lot more details about how it works, but I can just tell you, it does work. And even though we have gotten to a good size, we still use it because it helps us very much with our cash flow. All right? Any questions for Mr. Cass or myself?
No questions? How many people knew that as a local business you could get money, you could get insurance on what you sell before this presentation? Right. And I have managed companies where we used Exim Bank to do exports, and because we knew that they were going to be paying us in 60 days, and we couldn't wait for 60 days because foreign exchange loss and all this kind of thing, we used Exim and got back the money so we could get back the US money to buy back material. And it saved us quite a lot. And you could sleep at night. You sleep better now, right, Mr. Inglew?
Definitely.
Good. One question here.
So much a question, but what I experienced during Christmas time. I always wanted cash during Christmas.
Okay.
I have a bakery and I do catering as well. But the bakery is what is constant right through the year. And Christmas time is when I have most of it. Because I will supply and run out of Christmas cake and the supermarket them calling me and I start to panic where we get extra money from, and you know, it's just a headache. But now that I know about this, because they do pay, but it's in the new year. You understand?
Right.
I'm glad for this.
Excellent.
Good.
And this presentation, as Mr. Inglew says, might sound dry, but that is exactly what it is. The amount of people that we see at JBDC, and they go, listen now, I'm making this thing, and I'm going to sell it to this one, I'm going to sell it to that one, but I can't collect. I can't collect. So I can't come back again and do the next production. This is what this solves.
Yes, it's what he's saying, really provide a cushion. Because they do pay now, but it's between 3 weeks to a month, depending on the supermarket.
That's it, they're not a hotel.
And let me just say, what it is that you have run out of cash, which is like running out of gas. You cannot keep, you can do another run of passengers and bus, but you have no gas. So it's really keeping the cash levels high, particularly under stress periods. And by the way, let me just say that Exim has always done insurance on your overseas things. So I don't do much export. I didn't do much export at the time, so I didn't really have much use for it. But I was very happy, thrilled when Exim came up and said, we are doing it for local payables. So if you have, any company, and by the way, even, I'll tell you this, we supply to a lot of smaller companies, and Exim has even granted us credit insurance for those people. Because remember, nobody wants risk, especially insurers. So they don't want to insure people who they think are dodgy. It's easy to get, let me just tell you, it's easy to get insurance for Lasco. but not so much for a place called, ABC Wholesale, 97 East Street. They're not so happy about that one. But I must say, they have done their research and given it to us on that. So a gas station, supermarkets, they do their own check to see, is this person a good person? And by the way, may find out for you that some of the people who you're busily supplying to are not sound businesses. And when they go down, as I've had people go down on me, there's nothing there to collect. And this can ruin a good upstarting business. There's so many things we have to juggle with as small business owners starting up. Things you never thought of. You're good at one thing but not at everything. You can't be the accountant, the this, the that, the delivery man, the salesperson, the whatever. But we have to be. And so earlier a young lady asked a lady, how do we learn to be accountants? And the lady said, sign up for a 5-year course. That doesn't help us. But we have to have an idea. So we end up being jack of all trades, right? And we can't get everything right. I'll just tell you right now, I'm a hopeless marketer. I'm just hopeless. But there are other things I'm strong with. But when you're a little business person, it's like you have to be all of them. And if one is down, you could fail for that failing. So when the lady says, hire an accountant, we just, all right, next. Because we can't afford that. So this thing actually sounds very dry, sounds like the last thing we would want. I'm trying to say to you, reconsider it and do it if you have some good clients. And they don't even have to be big clients. Don't say, oh, well, it's not Lasco, it's not Grace, so I won't get through. You may well. I'll leave it in the good hands of Exim to sort you out and get you where you are. And they're here because you're our sector, thank you, Ryan. Our sector is a sector that they're interested in bringing into the fold of their outreach. And I think I was reading or hearing that in fact Exim is geared to actually have good money to pass out. They want to bring in more people into the business thing. And I would encourage you to come in. Use the institutions that are there every day to help you like this one.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And we have enhanced communication with MSME. Is Nita? Is she here? You're okay. Great. So you'll be doing it for her? Good. Okay. Maybe you should come up and introduce yourself here. Maybe do this and you introduce yourself. Yeah.